people that say like global warming and this and that. Hey, let's take a look into our very own streets, neighborhoods, and how all of the kids in at least our own country of America, let alone the world, like, what are we doing to help kids and the future generations of this planet? This planet is fine. Like, I'm sure God's gonna take care of the planet. Well, it's fine. So, what about little hearts out there and minds that are being neglected, going without, being hungry, being abused? Like, what about them?
It didn't happen. I don't know how else to like describe it. My mom would like ask me and I would be like, nothing happened. Like, and I ended up telling her later.
Her voice being choked up means she probably got dismissed once she told her mother.
Like, as a grown up, like after I moved out here actually. And she was like, Catherine, like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, when you go to Detroit, she's like, you're a white girl. Like, you were dressing really provocatively. She's like, you kind of put a target on your back. That's just kind of like hard to process. So I just kind of like, either it didn't happen or it did. And like, it's my fault because like I shouldn't have been there. Why did I run away? Like I could have just stayed home or like hung out with my friends instead of like seeking that out. Like why did I seek that out? You know? And
What do you think the core of it all was? The lack of love from your mom?
no, daddy issues for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it always? Yeah, I told
Kind
my
of goes
dad.
without
My
saying.
dad was extremely racist, so I remember like staying with him for a minute when I was like acting out. My mom, I was like, I hate you. I want to live with my dad. So I went and lived with him, and he'd beat his wife up all the time. And I'd call the cops. Cops would come, and she'd be like, everything's fine. And then they would leave, and he would never get arrested.
Hey, dads out there, when you it's a twofold thing because truthfully, if women would make a man wait until there was a ring on her finger and they were steady and stable and secure and knew one another, and if everyone did that, if that was just culturally acceptable and propaganda wasn't an issue and we were just like in our biological roles as male and female and we were just like living the dream, right, in peace and harmony, and everyone waited until marriage to get married and have children, not even saying it would still work out, but like the likelihood of more kids at least just having a stable, loving household. Which is just the point is every kid deserves that. And you can get into fairness and unfairness and equality, but like the point is truly at the heart of it, every kid deserves like a loving mom and dad and like the foundation of a stable, normal upbringing in childhood that's only 15 years. It's not even the longest period of time ever. It's like 15 freaking years to get it together, to be there for someone, to care, to keep them clothed and fed and safe from predators and loved. Like these parents, if they could just, it's so sad because it's a generational thing. It's generational cycles. It's demonic activity. It's the good versus the bad in the world. Like that's what it boils down to.
What is the lesson to learn from what happened to you when you were 14 and 11? No, young teenager. Why did you go there? Why did that happen?
I don't know. I wish I could like have like a therapist and figure it out. But every time I've tried therapy, I really just shut down and cry the whole time. And I don't know if it's because people are prying.
Which is like, maybe that's what therapists have to do for a while. just sit there and let somebody cry for a while. Like, that's what your best friend does, or a good sister would do, is just be like very empathetic and listen. So, yeah, when you're seeking a therapist, what she's about to say, listen to what people want in their therapy sessions. It's not this sit on a couch, act prim and proper, hide everything you're actually feeling. As therapists, we need to understand that, like, millennials and Gen Z, they're not prim and proper. They're not going to sit on a couch and share their whole life history unless you somehow get through to them and make them feel comfortable enough to break down those walls and break down those barriers. Because, yes, I do believe that speaking your truth is so healing, and it couples with, writing your truth, being honest about things that have happened to you and facing them, and then making changes for the better. But therapy in general, when it's too expensive and it's such a process to try to get help, because I know I've talked to enough people, and even when my daughter was first born and I thought I was experiencing postpartum at about 6 months, I went to try to talk to a therapist, and 2 appointments later, all I had done was talk to like the first person in the many chains of command to get to the therapist. And I'm thankful that there are now online therapists and things that we can do online. But even just in person, like being able to really talk to someone about everything, and not just in a timed session, perhaps. Maybe it takes a few hours. Maybe in our case of studies as therapists in training, we just need to realize that there are people that can't just open up. They need additional, like, really emotional connection to be able to open up. And then what? I don't know. I'm still in training. I'm still learning myself. I'm still in school. But I'm just trying to observe and say, I really think.
I have no idea. I think the biggest thing for me, and the reason why I wanted to talk about it, is because the media and like everybody's always talking about sex trafficking and all these like scenarios that, like, I'm sure they happen, but it's not like the entirety of the sex trafficking like thing is not going to be like, a kid in a Wayfair like container like being shipped. Like, it's just like so ridiculous to me that that's like where energy is being spent, and it's not being spent on like the girls like me who were like super lost. And I really can say that I was looking for something, and I don't know how to, I don't even understand fully like what it is, but I was always seeking. I was always like, where can I find this feeling that I'm looking for? Like this like warm feeling. My mom like worked all the time, and when she was home, she would always sit at the kitchen table and like write in her notebook. And it was like Bill's stuff, or she would do crafts, and I would be in the living room on the couch by myself. And I'd ask her to come and sit with me, and she never would. She just always had something to do.
Oh, her mother was a total dismissive, avoidant. I don't know, I've never met the woman. But yeah, you just see in like the way she interacts with her own daughter. Fine, I'll take you to the bus stop, you're 14 years old. And then constantly dismissing her when she's even asking her to come sit by her or just to be with her.
So I think I just wanted somebody to want to be around me. And like men always wanted to be around me. Like they were always like,
for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but it's always, so like my relationships now are very hard. Because I'm always just like, what do you want? Like, I always feel like nobody really wants to get to know me. And when they do, they're just like, They're just like, oh, like you're fucked up. Or you're like too needy, or you're too like emotional, or
Oh, she's probably like an anxious, attached, fearful, avoidant. Yeah, probably a fearful, leaning, anxious in relationships and such. And then she has 4 kids, so that's not easy. That's just not easy, you know? Like, I would just tell her straight up to her face, like, girl, that's not easy. And I'd be like, but you know what? You are beautiful, you're still young. And I think my opinion would be just work on being healthy and happy for yourself. As they say in therapy, be whole and healed within yourself because obviously she's not quite there yet. And I get that I empathize with her because love from a male can often just make you feel so validated, and women often chase that validation, especially when dad was missing, probably. You know, she's just dealing with that. So I think she probably leans towards seeking validation from men. And it would be nice and awesome if she did spend some time reading like the Bible or a Christian book about just knowing the Lord in a simplistic way, not in a religious way, just like a gratitude, thank you God for my life, for my eyes that can see, for kittens, for my 4 beautiful children, for the life that I've led despite the negative parts of it. Now I can empathize with others and help others, like just a sense of gratitude with like a spiritual connection to God, and truly, you know, getting maybe her home and finances in order, making sure her kids have everything they need, but like not in a materialistic way, truly in a emotional bonding. And it seems like she's doing really good, like she's on her way, and it seems like she'll be okay. But I would say, like, I just sense that she's still hurting a lot inside, and maybe she even needs to write her mom a letter. Um, Maybe she doesn't give it to her mom. Maybe she does. Maybe she just lets, like, I don't remember if she has a sister or brother. I don't remember if she does, but maybe just letting a best friend read it, or saving it, or giving it to her mother if she felt so inclined. I mean, that's the thing. Each person's healing path is going to be so different and unique. And that's why I think we need to seek God in it, because He's the only one that has been watching us since we were born. And not in a creepy way like Antoine said. No, Antoine. I'm saying in a, like how we watch our pets or our kids. We're not like watching them generally go to the bathroom or anything. We're just kind of like, you know, it's their private space, whatever. I'm not saying God's like watching us in a creepy way. We are being watched as the way we watch our own kids or our pets. So it's in a way of protection and love, right? We genuinely want to see them succeed if we're trying to be a good parent. We want to see our child succeed. We want to see our pet be healthy. If we are in the right state of mind, obviously that trickles down to the other aspects of our lives. So for her, I just hope that she does find like a spiritual path that's just maybe reading the New Testament or the book of Psalms or Ecclesiastes, kind of realizing how life is fickle. Like there is no guarantee, but we can find gratitude. And when those moments come of, you know, not wanting to be on this earth, like we all do face at one point or another, we accept that we are going to feel down, we are going to feel lost, but if we just keep trying, there will come a point when this will be the past and we will be stronger and better for it if we choose. Like, if we choose an enlightenment path. That is what our human experience is about, is our choice to choose good or evil, to choose good or bad, to choose God or not.
Like they just like get what they want and then they're like, oh, I don't want the rest. So it's kind of it's been hard like dating as like a 35-year-old single parent of 4 kids. Like, I mean, you like say that and dudes like run the fuck away as fast as they can.
I'm sure most men do run, but then I know of men that do find a woman who has 4 kids or more and they turn out to have a family together. Like my best friend from high school, Heather, she had 4 kids and met her husband, and they now shared a son together. They moved out of state and helped their older kids. Like he already had a son. They made it work. You know, like it is possible. But also my friend Heather at the time seemed to be very healed, very stable, and like was a nurse, had it together, and was ready for love and a relationship. Um, I don't know if this gal is like even ready for a relationship. So if I were her therapist, I would be like telling her, girl, we are on like a 6 month plan here, at least, maybe a year. I know year sounds so long, but we need to start with some journaling, some exercises, some like a 6 month plan of can you read some or all of the New Testament and just give it a try? Can you spend some time every day in self reflection and then, you know, be able to still allot time to your children and to your job and etc. And as far as her own mother and that relationship, it's like honestly, you have a parent who's 2, maybe 3 or 4 decades older than you, and that's it. So, like I tell people, we can't hold our parents too dang accountable for our lives. Like, they mess up because generally they're young and they are unhealed as well. And you have these young, unhealed adults just thinking they're ready for that next step because biologically they do probably want a family and reproduce and have a life of experience with children, grandchildren, etc. That's generally the majority of people from all cultures, all over the world, right? But then you come to America. Okay, don't get me started.
But it's like I don't need a man to like complete me, but it would be cool to like have somebody that like is like, I don't know, accepting. So it's affected me in that way for sure. Sexually, it's hard. I mean, I had a kid at 16. My body's like never been perfect as an adult, so I'm very like self-conscious about my body.
See, and she's so beautiful, and some man would love her just the way she is, but it would be nice if she could spend some time and effort on really getting herself, checked by a doctor, just any medical. She's 35, maybe doing, any screening tests, just facing it, going to the salon, getting her hair all like pretty highlights and, doing some facials where she could just feel better about herself for herself. Not for anyone, not for any man, but just like for herself.
So sex is hard. I always like feel shameful, unless there's like a rare partner like that makes me feel comfortable, which is not very common.
And then once she finds that guy, unless she's done the inner work, as Thais says, unless she's done the inner work to heal her more anxious side, coupled with her avoidant side as fearful, unless she gets to learn terminology that really helps her explain her feelings of that hot and cold, that push pull for everything she's been through, she'll, in my opinion, never have a successful relationship because there's no way to explain it or describe it. And I think it's very important that every human understands attachment theory just as much as we understand like math and numbers and English and writing. Like, it should just be a thing that we learn in high school. It should just be more common knowledge about attachment theory in general and how to heal from childhood emotional and physical wounds.
So I can never fully like let go because I'm always like, what is this person thinking about me? Like, am I good enough? Do I look okay? Am I like, I'm very like worried about my appearance. But now my kids like see it. I mean, I don't bring anyone around my kids, but I don't want my daughters to grow up and like repeat the same thing. So I'm a little scared about that.
What are you doing to protect your daughters?
I'm like really hyper aware and very I like don't let them play on the sidewalk in front of my house. I don't let them outside without me. I live in Long Beach, so it's kind of like understandable if you live in the city. Like you kind of know there's always like somebody like tweaking, walking down the sidewalk. You know, I'm not gonna let my kids play out there. Sleepovers, like I'm super aware of like who's there. Like
I mean, damn, I honestly just feel like no sleepovers at all till these days. Till you. Sleepovers are difficult. That's a tough subject for me. So as long as they're old enough that you can have the conversation with them, I don't like sleepovers at all. Personally, I would just say no to any sleepovers. But I don't want to be too controlling and like be that parent, so I don't know what exactly I will do case by case basis, but
meet with parents, you know, because I've had situations at sleepovers where like I used to sleep over at this girl Dion's house all the time, and her uncle Michael would come up from New Orleans, and he would sneak in the bedroom and like pull me out, and like we would have sex, and I was probably 13 at that time too. But he would have sex with me and the other girl that would always stay there. Her name was Crystal, and he would like pull us out the same night
right.
and like have sex with us. He was married with kids, and so I'm very like,
You were 13
yeah,
and he was.
in his 30s. Yeah, and then her mom found out, and we ended up finding out that he was also sleeping with Dion, who was his niece, like blood niece, his sister's daughter. He was sleeping with her too.
You've been sexualized since you were
Forever.
forever.
Yeah, so, but also I'm like, I did it to myself. Like I was dressing pretty provocatively pretty young. So I don't know why I did that. Nobody in my family did that, so I don't know why I made that decision. Because I'm sure if I didn't dress that way, like dudes wouldn't even look twice. And I like vaguely remember one of my aunt's husbands. He would like invite me to his apartment all the time after they split up, and it would just be me and him there. And I remember like being in his room, and I remember him giving me a massage. I have not told anybody about that, but I do remember that.
You were how old?
I was young. It was all like within the span of like 12 to 14.
Yeah, because 12-year-olds need massage.
So probably 12, I would say. But yeah, we were alone, and he would just be like, "Hey, do you want to come over? Like we can watch TV." And like I'm like, dude, nobody thought that was weird. Like him and my aunt are like split up, and like he's inviting me to his house to like watch. Like nobody like red flag that.
Was there a lack of awareness of what was going on around the
I don't
house
know what the hell was going on with my family. I'm just like, there's no way in hell my kids would be alone with anybody, even in my family, a male in my family. Like would never happen. So I don't know. I don't know.
For me, I would not let my daughter around any family member, male or female, because you don't know who the females are bringing around.